So guys, welcome back to into our platform, guys. If you're new, please just consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification bell, so that in case we do upload any story, you'll be the first one to view. So there is a statement that has been produced by the Louis Farrakhan. This is about the assassination of Gaddafi. As you know, Louis Farrakhan and Gaddafi were close friends. The secrets of Gaddafi, Louis Farrakhan had. The secret of Louis Farrakhan, Gaddafi had. So these people were close friends, and so that Louis Farrakhan has produced a statement on how Gaddafi was assassinated, on what caused the death of Gaddafi, and who involved in this death of Gaddafi. So just listen to what Louis Farrakhan said about Gaddafi, and we'll be back on the story.
No ruler, no prophet who enjoys 100% the love of his people. That has never happened in these 6,000 years, and it certainly is not so in America, and it was not so in Libya. I never lived in Libya, so I don't know Libya like the Libyans know Libya. But I know something of the good of Muammar Gaddafi that made me to love him as a brother and to feel a great sense of loss at his assassination. Before I say to the public some of the things that Brother Gaddafi did that can be proved at no limit of time, I'd like to read to the public Brother Gaddafi's last will and testament that came out sometime yesterday. As you know, Brother Muammar Gaddafi was offered asylum in other countries. He refused to leave Libya. And as you know, he said he would be martyred in Libya. This is where he lived, this is where he would fight, and this is where he would die. So I'd like to read this will, and I want you to listen carefully to his words. He said, "This is my will. I, Muammar bin Mudabir bin Muhammad bin Abdussalam bin Humaid bin Abu Manya bin Humaid bin Nail al-Fusi Gaddafi, do swear that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger, peace be upon him. I pledge that I will die as a Muslim." This was written on the 17th of October. He said, "Should I be killed, I would like to be buried according to Muslim rituals in the clothes I was wearing at the time of my death, but with my body unwashed in the cemetery of Sirte next to my family and relatives. I would like that my family, especially the women and children, to be treated well after my death. The Libyan people should protect its identity, achievements, history, and the honorable image of its ancestors and heroes. The Libyan people should not relinquish the sacrifices of the free and best people. I call on my supporters to continue the resistance and fight any foreign aggressor against Libya today, tomorrow, and always. Let the free people of the world know that I could have sold out our cause in return for a secure and stable personal life. I received many offers to this effect, but chose to be at the vanguard of the confrontation as a badge of duty and honor. Even if we do not win immediately, we will provide a lesson to future generations that choosing to protect the nation is an honor, and selling it out is the greatest betrayal that history will forever remember, however they try to portray this. This was the end of his will. He was killed in a military uniform. He wanted to be buried in the khaki clothes that he was wearing. And of course, you heard the news that they took his body out in the middle of the night. He and his son, Mutasim, who we have in a picture meeting with Hillary Clinton a year and a half ago and shaking hands with Secretary of State Clinton, which should show the world that shaking hands with your enemy and receiving a pat on the back from your enemy should never lull you to sleep that the enemy has changed. The enemy is the enemy. And when you fall asleep on that knowledge, that is when the enemy will take us out. The betrayals of his inner circle. Don't think that that is overseas. That is in our own house. And we today need to watch for those close around for signs of betrayal. Because it is written in the scriptures of the Bible that in the last days perilous times will come. And betrayal will be one of the marks of the end of the world, because people will feel that they'll be safer betraying a good cause, a just cause, to save their lives. Gaddafi died in honor, fighting for the Libya that he believed in. They would never have won if NATO was not bombing day in and day out. Brother Ali Baghdadi, that is a writer and a great Arab writer, said they bombed Libya back to the Stone Age. We were in Libya. We saw Libya being built from the ground up. We witnessed what this man did for the Libyan people. And for NATO to have bombed it like this, watch for Halliburton, watch for Bechtel, watch for the vultures of London, England, and France, and others trying to rebuild the infrastructure that they purposely destroyed, which is against international law. You went for humanitarian purposes, yet 50,000 Libyans lie dead because the West wanted access to the wealth of Libya. Now let me tell you what this man did. Did he kill people? Well, hell, did our president kill people? Talk back to me.
Yes.
You have made your president an assassin. that the only value that he has now is that he was responsible for the death of Osama bin Laden. He was captured without a weapon. He should have been brought to America, put on trial for the American people to see this man. But he was executed, so you will never know the real truth. Then Alaki, an American citizen who is against America's policies, a drone took him out and then came back later and killed his son. Now Muammar Gaddafi and his sons lie dead. Saddam Hussein and his sons lie dead. Well, what about your sons? They're dying in Iraq on the basis of a lie. They're dying in Afghanistan on the basis of a lie. And now drones are in Pakistan, drones in Somalia, drones in Yemen. When will it stop? America, do you think that you can get away with this? If it's time for another commercial, then you go on and take the commercial. I'm just warming up.
All right. Thank you, Brother Minister. Brother Minister, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is in our studio. Stay with us.
Any money that he loaned to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or that he loaned to the Nation of Islam and forgave for $5 million that he loaned us, for you to think that I am that kind of prostitute, that I would give myself to any man for money. It's the principle that made me his brother. Now look at what this man did. After nationalizing the oil, he used the oil revenue to benefit the Libyan people, building schools, infrastructure, universities, hospitals. He raised the literacy rate from 20% when he became the leader, and at the time of his assassination, it is 83%. Libya has one of the finest healthcare systems in the third world. All people have access to doctors, hospitals, clinics, and medicines free of charge. If a Libyan needs surgery that is unavailable in Libya, funding is provided for the surgery to be carried out overseas. He raised the life expectancy of the Libyan people from 44 years, and now at the time of his assassination, 75 years of age. Basic food items were subsidized and electricity was made available throughout the country. Brother Muammar Gaddafi has set up huge irrigation projects which were established in order to support a drive toward agricultural development and food self-sufficiency. He spent $33 billion on the man-made river, where his engineers brought water up out of the desert, and now pipelines ran from Benghazi and Tobruk almost to the door of Tunisia. Any Libyan who wanted to become a farmer was and still is given free use of land, a house, farm equipment, livestock, and seed. Brother Muammar Gaddafi vowed that his own parents, who lived in a tent in the desert, would not be housed until every Libyan was housed. He fulfilled that promise. Under the revolutionary leadership of Muammar Gaddafi, Libya has now attained the highest standard of living in Africa. Money from Libya's oil revenue is directly deposited into the bank account of every Libyan. Women have full access to education, employment, and he has enabled women to serve in the armed forces. And this is most important Gaddafi was the first and the only leader in the Arab world to formally apologize for the Arab role in the trade in captured Africans. Gaddafi acknowledged that the black Africans were the true owners of Libya and proclaimed in his Green Book, quote, "The black race shall prevail throughout the world." Now, Brother Gaddafi took oil money and started moving the Organization of African Unity toward the African Union with a goal toward uniting 53, now 54 nations in Africa to the United States of Africa. Whenever we called Africa, our call had to go through Europe. And over $500 million went to Europe. But Gaddafi put up 400 million, and the rest of Africa put up 100 million and put up an African satellite. Now you can call directly to Africa from anywhere in the world without going through Europe. He asked the African nations to stop sending their raw materials to Europe to be made into products and then sent back to Africa to be paid for in an exorbitant price range. He wanted the Africans to take their raw materials and make them into products and then sell their products on the world market. This is the man that was assassinated, and I'll close this point. The minute he wanted Africa united, America, Britain, France, Germany, Europe was against it. So they set up NEPAD, a new economic development pact. Gaddafi was against it. Sarkozy came up with another plan to take all the North African nations that are Arab and unite them with the nations of Southern Europe. Gaddafi rejected that. America wanted to set up on the African continent African as a launching pad for the recolonization of Africa. Gaddafi was against that. I read an article by the Jewish man from a Zionist that was the former assistant to Rumsfeld. I can't call his name. Who?
Pearl?
No, not Pearl. Wolfowitz.
Wolfowitz, yeah.
Wolfowitz.
Hold your point, Minister. We got to go to a top of the hour break. That's the kind of information that.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press. You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get, the erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world. It's a damn shame. That's why the children are occupying space in New York, in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in San Francisco, and other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took you 2 weeks because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media.
Yes, sir. That's right.
You all know it, but you're afraid to say it. But God put it on Farrakhan to say it for you.
Yes, sir.
And maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media, a real free fourth estate.
That's right.
But right now,
No, sir.
you ain't even worth the time of day. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think God would give his only begotten son for this world?
Think about it.
I don't, this thing. Look at the world that you live in. How rotten it is. We voted for our brother, Barack. Beautiful human being with a sweet heart. And now he's an assassin. They've turned him into them. You didn't hear me. They turned him. They brought him to England. See? Oh, now he can stay in Buckingham Palace. Nobody stayed there. Just a few presidents. Why him? Why? See, we know this enemy. See, America can sit down tyrants, but who will sit her down? She puts her trust in her weapons of war. She threatens the nations of the earth and has my brother calling for the assassination of brother Muammar Gaddafi. What has he done? I can defend that man. You don't know that man. See, you're a victim of that media that's controlled by satanic forces. My poor brother, they're bombing. They said they were only going over there for humanitarian reasons. We're going to stop Gaddafi from killing his own people, and we believe that. You've been deceived. You talk about a man killing his own people when you lie to the American people saying that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. When you lie and then take innocent young men who come to serve their country and send them to die in Iraq, in Afghanistan, over lies, that's a murderer in the White House. Who will say it? I will, because I have a power behind me that is bringing America to judgment as we speak.
Yes, hope you've heard all from Louis Farrakhan. It is in 1985, Farrakhan secured $5 million with no interest. That was free interest from Gaddafi, a Libyan president who was being assassinated. That was a loan was given by Gaddafi guys. So Louis Farrakhan in 1985 secured a $5 million interest-free loan from Libya Islamic Coal Society, intended to fund a black-owned terrorist company in the US. Gaddafi had also offered Franklin's weapons to initiate a black nation, but Farrakhan declined, expressing a preferences for economic investment in black armed. In 1996, during a visit to Libya, Gaddafi pledged a $1 billion gift to Farrakhan and awarded him $250,000 personally. However, US sanctions against Libya imposed due to alleged connection to terrorism blocked the financial transfer. So that's how Louis Farrakhan has said that Gaddafi was assassinated by the whites, but yet you saw the idea that Gaddafi had to the people of Libya. You saw in terms of medical, in terms of economical, in terms of the leadership of Gaddafi was best before he was assassinated. You can see how Libya is now looks like. So Gaddafi was the best president ever seen here in Africa before the guys was being assassinated. Louis Farrakhan and Gaddafi shared a mission of black empowerment and resistance to Western imperialism. Franklin praised Gaddafi as a revolutionary figure and a model for African and third world nation. In 1996, Farrakhan received the International Gaddafi Prize for Human Rights, further cementing their alliances. So Gaddafi and Farrakhan, as I have told you, they were close friends. They were so close friends. So that's why Louis Farrakhan responded to the death of Gaddafi in 2011. During the Libya civil war, Farrakhan condemned the US. He condemned the US NATO involving. He criticized President Obama and his advisor, referring to them as wicked demons and suggesting that their action would hated defiance tribulation. Yes, Obama. All this is from Obama and his advisors. Farrakhan's relationship with the Gaddafi exemplify his broader strategy of aligning with international figures who imposes Western dominance, reflecting his commitment to black nationalism and global solidarity among oppressed people. And this is what you see from Ibrahim Traore, guys. The way they put on Gaddafi, the way they complained about Gaddafi is the same way these people are complaining about Ibrahim Traore, as you can see. The way they are complaining about Gaddafi is the same way they are complaining about Ibrahim Traore. So the people from West, they don't want to see an African leader who might decided to change the living standard of Africans people, or decided to change the scenario where they cannot be able to get the resources which they usually receive in those nations. So whenever the leader becomes thinking about his people first, is when the West countries sees as a traitor and sees like a revolutionary who might make them not to do whatever they want to get in a certain country. So you've seen Gaddafi, the oil that was produced in Libya. Whenever the oil was sold, all people in the country, the Libya people, were benefiting that oil by providing some cash into their accounts, so that they can benefit from whatever resources they had in Libya. The action that made European countries to see as a not a good thing to them. They just want African people to remain being poor, to just get loans from them, or just to praise them, or just kneel for them to assist them. That's the idea of the colony, or the idea of the West people. So Louis Farrakhan has just said us what happened on Gaddafi, because we may believe this because Gaddafi and Louis Farrakhan were close friends, and they knew each other in matters concerning Africa, in matters concerning the revolutionary of people of Africa, Pan-Africanism. So that was all about the Louis Farrakhan. And guys, remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell, so that in case we do upload any story, you'll be the first one to view.